All right, guys, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about ways to strap a rifle to your pack. There's really three scenarios when you're going to do this. One I didn't mention earlier, the other two I did. The first one is even during your hunt, when you could potentially get a shot opportunity, but you're maneuvering through really rough terrain, like you're scrambling boulders or something, going across shale, those kind of dangerous, tricky scenarios, you're gonna find that if you're carrying your rifle in front of you where it's accessible, either with the gun bearer or slung over one shoulder like you would traditionally when you're hunting, you're gonna find with those methods in rough terrain, you have a really high potential of busting up your gun and having the gun be in your way, okay? Like you got two trekking poles, you're grabbing on rocks, you really need to have that set up. The other thing is having the rifle particularly down the center of the back of your pack is gonna distribute the weight a lot better on your pack, where that's not a liability for you in rough terrain, okay? So that's the one scenario I didn't talk about. The other two is you're done with your hunt and you're going out with camp. Your pack is very heavy, so you're gonna want that weight centered on the back of your pack, and you're not gonna want to deal with your rifle. Same deal after a successful hunt. You've got part of the harvest in your pack, and then plus a camp. That's going to be the heaviest situations. Even if it's not in rough terrain, you're generally going to want your rifle strapped to your pack. Okay. All right. So I'll show you first a really simple approach to this. Okay, guys. And I've done this a lot, and that's just to strap the rifle on the back of your pack. All right. So how that looks is basically take your rifle, put it down the center of your pack, and then you're gonna have some strapping on your pack generally, but you're gonna probably have to bring an extra strap. And I'm gonna show you something about these because it's important. If you're gonna attach a rifle on your pack like this, particularly with nothing over the butt, so you're very dependent on these straps, you need to use what's called auto lock buckles. All right. So this, you can see here how they have a friction device in here. So that's the female auto buckle. Here's what a male auto buckle looks like. Okay, same thing. Friction device or friction added device right here. All right. Okay. So the thing about those is they won't loosen up. Okay. Your traditional buckle, like this, okay, works for just about everything because a little loosening is usually not a big deal. Okay. It's not the end of the world. All right. And they're handy to take on and off. They're not a pain in the ass. It's easy to adjust the straps, those sort of things. So there's a lot of advantage to them over the auto locks. Because the auto locks are a pain in the ass to adjust the straps on. All right, like particularly loosen them and stuff. You've got to run that friction device. But these will not, if you've installed them correctly, they will not loosen. In this method of strapping a rifle on a pack, you want to make damn sure that the rifle doesn't loosen, and I'll show you why. But first, what I'll do is I'd have a set of these auto locking buckles with straps. So the first thing I'll do is on the top 1/3 of the pack, I'll add these straps perpendicular to my pack. Okay, and I do that by just going into the webbing. One tip I'll give you guys is that if you've only got strapping where you can attach these straps like up in the top 1/5 of the of your pack, or like down like halfway up your pack, attach them to the top, because you don't want how I'm going to attach this. You don't want it to be down low. Okay. Okay. So I've got the two straps here. Okay. So what I'm going to do, and this can be painful for some guys to think about, but I go between my two rings on my scope, okay? So the majority of the pressure that I'm gonna put tension-wise is going to be across the actual gun. However, there is gonna be some pressure holding that rifle up on the front scope ring, okay? And so that is somewhat of a negative. All right, guys. So here you can see this basic setup that I'm talking about, okay? So you can see this first strap here. This is the strap that has auto locking buckles on it. It goes over the forearm of your rifle between the scope ring mounts, okay? All right? So we can argue about that as much as you want in terms of, you know, if that's gonna do damage to your rifle or how your scope's mounted, all right? Generally, for a mountain rifle, a solid setup, you shouldn't worry about it, but that's up to you, okay? But this is an important strap, all right? It has to have auto locking buckles on it. I've packed tons of rifles out with super heavy packs like this, and it's no problem. What I'll generally do is I have that strap on there with the auto buckles here, okay? It doesn't actually matter where the auto buckles end up, but the you're gonna end up probably wanting them away from the actual scope, just so you can pull the right amount of tension. And then on the bottom here, this is really just for extra protection and for security from the rifle moving this way and that, you know, back and forth. If this strap holds, your rifle's not going anywhere, but it might have a little momentum, okay? So I use just a strap that's on the pack to tighten up down here below the trigger guard. I run that strap, you know, and that's gonna secure the butt of your gun to your pack, all right? So here, I'll show you a close-up of that. Okay, so there's that setup. All right, it works fine. It's a little trailer parky, but don't let anybody tell you that it's not an option. All right, guys, so I'll show you a couple variations of this that you might like, you might feel more comfortable with, or whatever. All right, so this variation here, this is the gun bearer, the stock part of it, the lower piece of it. You can actually take this and you can attach it to the MOLLE on the back of your pack if your pack has MOLLE there, and it can hold the butt of your gun. And in that case, you don't need the strap that's below your trigger guard here, right? The gun bearer is bearing that weight, all right? And then the other advantage is that you can take off some of the pressure here, okay, on your scope, right? You can basically snug up the gun bearer, so this is more of a compression strap instead of a pulling up strap and bearing the weight of the rifle, and that puts most of the weight here on the butt of the gun bearer. All right, so I'll show you a variation of using that the base, the lower half of the gun bearer to actually put your rifle on the side of your pack. And you're probably wondering, like, well, you just talked about how most of the scenarios you'd want it down the center, and that is true. But there's a couple reasons why you might have to pack it on the side. And that one, a lot of the time is like a particularly big rams. A lot of times you can't get the rifle to set down the middle of the pack because the ram's horns are in the way, okay? So you'll have to pack your rifle on the side. Not ideal from a weight distribution perspective, but might be your only option. So in that case, what you can do is put your gun bearer set up like this. Take your other strap. Again, this top strap has got to have an auto locking buckle on it, and you can compress the gun like that to the side of your pack, all right? And so that'll give you a good look at that, all right, okay? So that's holding the weight, this is holding compression. If you want to thread this between your two bases, it will be a little more secure if you do that. I prefer it slightly to always run through the base rings here, and the reason is I have had my pack roll. I've actually had it roll down a mountain with half a sheep and a ram's head on it. And what happens is you get a lot of up and down movement if that happens. And in that extreme scenario, your rifle could pop out of this butt, this rifle butt holder here. And so you could end up losing your rifle, all right? Or it could go further and harder than your pack, all right? So here it's more secure if you do go between the two rings, but that's an option for you. There's no doubt that when you do that, your rings are bearing a little bit of the weight of the rifle kind of in a sheer force, all right? All right, guys, so the next method I'm going to talk about is using a Kifaru Sherman, and there's a couple variations for carrying a rifle with this setup. You'll see this a lot on my packs. I use it a lot just for the utility of having a little pack that I can pull off. It has some nice pockets on it and that sort of thing, but this is an added bonus. So first, the simplest way to do it, and it's not according to Kifaru's recommendations, but I found it works pretty well. And that's a variation of what I've already showed you. Lay your rifle down flat, take your auto locking buckles, go between the rings, okay, and strap that up tight, okay, so that's your main holder. And then take your Sherman and put it over the butt of the gun like this, okay, and then tighten it as a compression, okay. It's going to be even better than that one of those first variations I showed you where you use the auto locking strap on the top, and then on the bottom you put a stabilizing strap below the trigger guard. This is going to be even more secure. It's kind of, it's an elongated chunk of compression, so it'll hold the rifle down. But because the butt is not secure, you have to go between the scope mounting ring, between the ring bases, okay, so you have some lateral control of that rifle, okay? So your auto locking buckle has to go through there in this setup, all right? Okay. One thing about this is your rifle is going to ride relatively high, okay? You can see where the barrel is. So that can be a little tricky if you got to bust through willows and in thick vegetation. If you want the gun to ride low, you can do it in Kifaru's more traditional use of the Sherman, and that's got a little pocket when you open it up. So you can put the butt of your rifle in there like that. And then here, again, use your auto locking buckle. Here, okay? You can tighten that up. Like I said, these auto lockers are a little bit of a pain in the ass to manipulate, but once they're tight, it won't loose on you. Okay, so that's another setup. This works. It's not my favorite method because I don't like the gun so low. Like if I have to sit down, or if I want to sit on a rock even to get a rest on the side of the trail, it's hard to do this with the butt of the rifle so low. But your advantage is you're not running into shit up above you. So there's a trade-off there. But that's another option for you. All right, guys. So this last option I'll show you, I mean, I think it's underrated. I actually use it quite a bit whenever I have time to pack up and be strategic how I'm packing stuff, and I really don't need access to the rifle at all. And that's just the simplest form of just putting it into the actual bag, okay? The advantage of this is the rifle's really well protected, and you don't have to worry about it banging against things, stuff like that. If you want to set your pack down, like take your pack off and drop it on this side of the pack, you don't have to worry about that. So there are some bonuses, and that is so I'll show you what I do. And you have to do it, you have to be strategic about it when you're packing your stuff up, but you're gonna want to set the rifle against the actual frame in your pack, okay? A little rifle like this, honestly, this is probably the only way I would pack it in this regard where I didn't need access to it. I don't see any reason to pack it on the outside of the pack given the size of it. All right, guys, so you can see with particularly like a shorter rifle, this setup is pretty nice, okay? And I think it's underrated and underutilized. I actually use it a lot. And the other thing is you might have to carry two guns, right? If you're guiding or somebody else is packing more of the camp or whatever, put one gun in here, and then you can use the other methods I showed you to put a gun onto the pack externally. So a more traditional hunting rifle is probably going to be about this long, so you are going to have to deal with that. Kind of a pain in the ass. It's up there high, but it's nice and snug in there, and it's protected, right? I'm actually going to pack this rifle out of here via this method. Okay, so what I generally do here is you're going to lose some of your protection from your lid. So if it's raining or whatever, you might want to exclude this approach. But if not, you can usually just get your lid around there and snug it up that way. And so you can see one of the nice things about this is like when I get off, you know, after 2 or 3 miles of hiking, I can set my pack down like this against a rock, and I'm not setting my external rifle against rocks and stuff that's gonna scratch it and beat up my scope, okay? So that's another way to approach it. Anyways, guys, I hope that you find through all these different variations, you find a way to do it. The reality is, man, get out there and do some mountain hunts and you'll figure out the best system. But I hope this kind of got you along the learning curve a little bit and gives you some options. Good luck, guys.